Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you've had some time to watch 25 through 21, some episodes. I wanted to include about Parks and Rec that I was so glad to see what happens with Jerry towards the end of the series, but that's probably one of my favorite moments, but I didn't want to spoil it, and I'm not going to tell you what happens exactly, but the long-suffering character finally gets some relief. Now let's get on to 20 through 16. So 20 is Parenthood. This is another NBC series. NBC had some surprisingly good series on in the last 20 years. I mean, they had Hannibal and then Parks and Rec and 30 Rock. And we'll talk later about another couple of series that they had on. But I think that Parenthood is one of those shows that if people love This Is Us, but Parenthood is better. And it's one of those series where not every character you're going to like. Some get on your nerves. I mean, some really get on your nerves. But the characters I do love, like Crosby and Jasmine, I mean, when they separated, I was devastated. I was so happy when they got back together. So ultimately, these almost feel like real people. It feels like a real family. A lot of TV shows don't. They're either overly hokey, like The Cosby Show or Family Matters or Step by Step or Full House. They're way too hokey, or maybe they feel almost too in your face, edgy, like Shameless or something. They just feel like they're trying too hard to really push it. This feels like a family. They're mostly caring about you, but they get on your nerves, or there's frictions, there's bumps, there's arguments. They're gonna bump heads, but you still try to do the right thing in the end. It's really probably one of the most realistic shows about family ever made, or that I've ever seen. And you get so invested in these characters, you're almost like, I can't believe that they did this to this character, and you take sides in their arguments and when they start fighting, and it really feels like they're a part of you in some kind of a way, or you're an extended member of the Braverman family. And most of the dynamics and the things that they go through, autisms and unexpected pregnancies, they're right in that sweet spot of realism. They're not like, oh, dad's going to jail for financial crimes and the daughter is a prostitute on drugs. It's like they're not trying as hard as most TV shows do to be too again, edgy and in your face, but it's also not as low stakes as like, oh, Malcolm in the Middle, I didn't do my homework. Like there's at least something to watch. And so these conflicts and dynamics, we don't see a lot of them in television. And then it's that right sweet spot of exactly what people would be going through with terminations and money problems and the small addictions of life that may not ruin your life, but they're certainly not helpful. And also it's got Ray Romano in it in a dramatic role, which I wanted to include Men of a Certain Age in this countdown, but I just couldn't do it. But if you haven't seen Men of a Certain Age on TNT, check that one out as well. Okay, number 19, which I'll try to move a little bit quicker through these because you might be losing patience. Number 19 is Homeland. Now, Homeland is one of those shows that it's really strange because the first two seasons get a lot of critical acclaim, and then people kind of gave up on it. And I find that the more the show keeps going, the better that it gets, really. Season 4, set in Afghanistan, is probably my favorite season. I really love that one. Season 5 is set in Germany. Season 6 details a plot against the president in the middle of a transition period, which kind of sort of did happen. It was just the other way around instead of what's on Homeland, but it sort of was a little like that. And then season 7 was about Russia trying to, cause a lot of mischief. So this is one of those shows that's always been extremely relevant to whatever's happening. Whatever's happening, they seem to kind of get their finger on the pulse. Carrie Matheson and Saul Berenson almost feel like real people at a certain point. Saul Berenson's one of those guys where you're like, I hope he's the national security advisor now because we need his judgment. We need his good sound thinking and things. And I feel like people, I don't know, it's weird. They were all about the show. And then right when it got better, oh, Homeland, it's got too many negative portrayals, or it's a blonde woman in the Middle East. Why not center these shows around the actual people? So it sort of got nitpicked for little things and whatever. So, but I really think that its reputation is a lot stronger than people are giving it credit for. Number 18 is a show called The Leftovers. And The Leftovers is one of those shows that I think a lot of people love. But the first season is pretty weak. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's only 3 seasons, and the first season, in my opinion, is not very good. But that follows the book, but in a very dramatic way. The book is a lot more comedic and has a lighter touch, but it's the basic plot line of the book. The second season is way better, and the third season is excellent. So even though I think The Leftovers winds up being, as Jimmy Kimmel called it, one of the best TV series of all time, it takes a minute to get there. So I will say that it rewards patience. It rewards a little bit of outside the box thinking. It's not concrete, some of the answers, but it really is excellent, and I think you should check it out. 17 is another show, also centered around religion, this time in a way different tone, just a very different show called The Good Place, also on NBC, weirdly enough. And basically, it's just great. I know you probably have heard of it, unlike some of these other shows you might not be familiar with, but you probably heard of The Good Place. I think it gets a little bit better every season. The series finale is excellent. Check it out. I don't want to say too much and spoil whatever, but even when you find, just like with Parks and Recreation, some of the characters get a little annoying, Jason, Koff especially, and may try your patience, but I think Ted Danson's charisma and Tahani and Eleanor and all the gang, Chidi, I think that they can pull you back even from the most annoying moments. And by the time you get to season 3, it's just a madcap dash through the afterlife. Every season is breaking new ways to tell their story. Then, with the 16th best show is Man Seeking Woman. Now, Alabama liberal fans are probably not surprised to see this one on here because I was constantly telling people, you need to watch this show. It's so good. It's so excellent. There's so many great ideas. And it's only 3 seasons. You probably watch the whole thing in a day if you really wanted to, but I might savor it a little bit more than that. But basically, they just try to find new and inventive ways every single episode and make abstract things literal. It's funny. It's just great. It's inventive. It's daring. I mean, I would definitely check that one out. Okay, everybody, join us next for the final 15.